this is Sai Kumar Kortiwada. In this video, we will learn about directives in SolidJS and what exactly the directive means. So when we are trying to understand directives are the reusable logics and that can be applied on a particular element, and you can apply multiple directives without any conflicts on a particular element. So in this example, we will see how exactly we will use directives and what is the example we are using for using a directive in SolidJS. So let me quickly jump into Visual Studio Code. Now our agenda is to use a directive, and that directive will have a feasibility where it will try to filter out the array values whatever you have entered in the input field, and that values will be returned back and it will update your UI. So how exactly it means? For that sake, we need an array. So let me create an array over here. So let me create const the array values, and the array values has something like name, and the name is by default I'm giving a Sai as a name. And let me use the same stuff over here and just give the name, and the name is Kumar, and give Sai. Let me give one more object called as name, and inside this let me give SKK. So now we have this array. Let me create one signal where it can be used to loop this array. So this will be the original array, whereas the signal is something like which will be updated based on our filtering part. So for that sake, let me create a array with something like users, and I'm using something like set users is equal to create signal, and this signal has a default value with this array. That means whatever the array values we have over here, that will be the default values. To showcase in the UI, let me loop this by using our index element, which is given by SolidJS again, and this will receive one property called as each. And let me minimize this and zoom it a bit. So now let me use a each property, and this each property will receive this users, which is a signal. Now what this will do is it will give a callback function for us, and let me capture each and every user over here, and this user can be used for updating our values. And let me use something like an li, or just use a paragraph, and this paragraph will have the capability to display my name property. And whenever we are using an index will give the user in a signal format, hence we need to use off and save this. Now let's see what is the default behavior of this application. Now if you go here and just reload, so we are not getting any values. Let's check why it's not showing any values over here. Now we are getting an user, and user.name should give the name whatever we are having over here. So let me change this. Oh, okay, we are missing something called as return, and this return should have a paragraph. Let me save this and go back. You can see Sai, Kumar Sai, and SKK. Now my case is I have an input field. Whenever I search something, it has to filter the typed value with this name, and if that value contains in this array, that value should be shown and that value should be filtered out. So that is the scenario which we want to implement. Now the case is I have an input field. So let me create an input field, and let me use a placeholder something like search key. Now what I want to do is I want to use a search value, and let me create a directive over here. So let me go into SRC and create a directive, and the directive is very simple, like search.jsx, and it is also a type of function. So I'm exporting this function by a default export, and whenever I'm exporting this, let me use something like a function name. So let me use a function keyword and pass the function name search value, and this is a directive. Hence this directive will receive two things. One is our element, and it will receive something called as value accessory. So we can pass any of the values to this, and we can utilize them inside this, and that should be only one value you can pass. Now this search value I want to use on my input field. How to use it? So it is very simple to use a directive. Whenever you want to mention a directive, then we have to use a keyword called as use colon and the function name whatever you have. My function name is search value, and this search value will receive one value that may be a object, that may be an array, that may be anything. In this case, what I'll do is I want to pass something like an object. So let me return an object. So let me hit enter and return an object. You can return like this, or else you can even return without this by using an object, and this object will receive something like the users whatever I have, and I will pass this set users a signal, and also the backup users whatever we have, that is an array. So let me pass all of this. So now this will be my backup users, and this will be the current users, and this will be the set users. Actually speaking, this search value does not need the current users, because we will be filtering our value based on the overall array. So overall array is something like this. So let me receive them in my directive. Let me save this, go here, and inside this let me console first. Console.log of an element, whatever we are typing over there, and let me console one more thing, that is nothing but value accessory. So value accessory will be an object whatever we are passing over here. Just go to the UI, and you can see here search value is not defined because we have to import it. So whenever we are using a directive, we need to import it, and let me import. As it is a default export, let me use a value without a flower braces, and let me import it from search value, that is search.jsx, and save this. Now you have the search value, and I am using over here, and let me go here and reload. Now you can see one input and one function, and this function is a setter function, and we are able to get the object over there. So now how can I use it? Now the case is I am going here and I am finding this element, and whenever there is a change in the element, so let me use element dot add event listener, and I am adding an event called as input. So whenever there is a change in the input, then it has to call a function. Let me create a function const value change, and this will be a arrow function, and this arrow function I can pass it over here, that is nothing but value change, and let me save this. Now I have added an event, and let me console a static value, something like sample, to test whether this add event listener is working or not. Let me go here and clear this off and reload. So we got add listener is not a function. So let me check the spelling over here. It is add event listener. I think we are missing E over here, and now we have added an E. Let me save this, go here and just reload. Now it is working fine. Whenever I type something over here, let me type H, and you are able to see sample, and let me hit J, you are able to see sample. That means whenever there is a change in this input field, we are able to see that console. Now we are able to come here, and we are able to get the value whatever the user entered. So how to get the user entered value? So it is very simple. Already we have an element, so we can get the value from that element. So let me give a entered value, and that value is equal to element dot value, and this will give the entered value whatever the user has been entered. Now already this value accessory has an object inside this particular method. So how to access it? It is very simple to access that value accessory. So we can use something like value accessory dot arr, that is overall search of overall array, and I want to check inside this. So how to check the values inside this? I can just filter it out, and let me use something like const filtered array is equal to value accessory dot filter, and this filter will receive an object. When this object is received, I need to check my name property, and that name property should be includes. Whenever this includes, then we need to pass our value, that is nothing but entered value. So whenever this object dot name includes my entered value, then you will be getting the filtered array. Let me console this filtered array, console.log of filtered array, and let me use something like value accessory, and this value accessory also contains a signal setter method, that is set user. Let me copy this set user and pass my whole array to this set user. So let me use filter array over set user and just save this. Let me go here and clear this off. Let me go back and let me remove this two consoles. Now let me type something like SA. You can see you have SA over here and SA over here, and if you type Sai you have in both the places, but if you type K, nothing exists because in our original array we don't have K, that is Sai K. This word does not exist. So now let me remove K. Again it came back with Sai and Kumar Sai, and whenever I remove everything you are able to see everything. Let me type SK. SKK is available only in one element, so that's why you are able to see only one element. Let me remove this. So till here we are very clear with the filtering part. Now what are the things which we can add extra? Here the name is a property which we are hard coding. If we are hard coding this name, so in this case what the problem is, we cannot use this search value as a reusable content. So that's why we can make this value key as one more element which we can pass to this directive. How we can pass? Just it's very simple. Let me add one more property to this, that is nothing but search key, and let me pass a key for this, and this time the key is name. Let me save this. Now let me access this search key here. Let me use something like search key is equal to, I want to access from my value accessory dot search key, and this search key I can use over here as dynamic value. So this key will be dynamic, and now the array will be searched based on your total array, and your filtered array will be updating your set users, and this set users is something like a signal. Whenever the signal updates, automatically it will update wherever the places we are using that particular property. And also let me go here, just search SAI and you have there, but unexpectedly if you type SAI, it is not finding. Why? Because there is no capital letter Sai. There are only small letter Sais. That's why you are able to see. To avoid this, what we can do is everything, whatever we are searching, that also we have to convert into lowercase, and whatever we have entered, let me convert into lowercase. So both I have converted into lowercase, and sometimes this may not be exist. So that's why we will use a question mark operator to avoid runtime errors. Let me save this and now go back. Let me clear this off. If I type capital Sai, even it is searching, but it failed somewhere else. Type error, lowercase is not a function. We can use something like 2 lowercase because we are using a string, and this is something like this, 2 lowercase and 2 lowercase. Let me save this, go here, reload, and now let me type capital SAI. Even if you are typing a capital letters, it is searching, and even if you give small letters, it will search. Let me give SAI in small letter, even it is searching in the small letter. So if you don't want to use case sensitive, then we can use this 2 lowercase. If you want to make it case sensitive, then don't use this lowercase conversion. So that's how we can use a directive. And now the advantage of using this directive is I can use this directive in another place, in another input, where I can pass these values to this particular input field, and therefore you can use it as a reusable content. So that's how a directive helps us in making our code reusable, and we can make the things very easy by using these directives. So that's about directives in SolidJS. If you like my video, like, share, subscribe to my channel for more updates. Signing off. Thank you.